Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Secretary of Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries, Hayden Spencer, and the Secretary of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labour, Marslyn Melville-Jack, addressed the media.
Coming on the heels of a bumper Easter weekend where we celebrated the triumph of the resurrection, I wish to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and the Tobago House of Assembly to publicly celebrate the triumph of our 11 young Tobago athletes who participated at the Track and Field CARIFTA Games in Bahamas over the weekend, bringing home 9 of the 17 medals won by Trinidad and Tobago is reason for celebration. However, winning 3 of the 4 gold medals attained by the national team puts our athletes in an elite category. Hearty congratulations to the young people of our island who continue to make us proud, and they continue to persevere against overwhelming odds. Let me also say hearty thanks and congratulations to the grit and determination of their coaches and their parents, who selflessly contribute to their training and the resultant successes. I wish to also publicly celebrate the indomitable spirit of the community councils at Canby, Mount Pleasant and Buku, who were also triumphant at their hosting of this year's Easter Sports and Goat Racing Festivals. These 2-day events attracted a large influx of returning visitors, residents, visitors from other Caribbean islands and international destinations. And I can tell you, because I was a part of these celebrations, they thoroughly enjoyed themselves in the clean, green, safe, and serene setting of our tropical paradise, Tobago. This afternoon's media briefing will focus primarily on the agro-based community programs that were launched on Monday, 26 March 2018. The Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labour partnered with the Division of Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries, as well as the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, in pioneering the launch of an agro-based community initiative with training programs offered at selective venues throughout Tobago. At my last media briefing, I would have hinted to this initiative, and I'm here this afternoon to give you a couple of the objectives coming out from the launch. This initiative has the following short, medium, and long-term objectives. First, maximizing the export potential of locally produced fruit and vegetables, meeting the domestic consumption demands, reducing the island's dependency on food importation, improving the island's food security, supplementing the school nutrition program with locally grown products, creating sustainable employment opportunities for workers currently attached to the CPEP and URP programs, and contributing to the diversification of Tobago's economy. Now, the target audience for this initiative, as we said, were the employees of the URP and the CPEP. However, we want to make it clear that members of the public who express an interest in the training are free to register for this program. One of the main thrusts of the Tobago House of Assembly is boosting the island's food security to contribute to the overall reduction in the nation's food import bill. To this end, the THA has been actively pursuing measures aimed at increasing production within the agricultural sector, as well as promoting agriculture as a viable source of employment. So these programs are geared towards building the capacity and the competencies of individuals within the sector, as well as encouraging other persons to get involved in agricultural pursuits. The Tobago House of Assembly recognizes the need to increase the productive capacity of those persons engaged in CPEP and URP, which fall directly under the remit of the divisions identified. Over the years, there have also been numerous calls from various sectors in our society to utilize the labor force of these programs in food production. To this end, this merger with the Division of Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries, and the Kendall Farm School forms part of the Alliance for Capacity Building and Training Initiatives, which focus on agro-entrepreneurship. This initiative will not only contribute to the sustainable development of the island, but it will also envisage that the persons will become empowered to venture into their own business enterprises, thereby reducing the demand on the public service for employment. This training is also available to unemployed youths and other members of the public for business or recreational purposes. Some persons who do not wish to become entrepreneurs can use the acquired skills to feed themselves and their families. After the participants' agricultural and agro-processing skills have been developed, the Business Development Unit under the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor will then engage these persons in entrepreneurship by acquiring critical business training competencies before the end of the program. These courses are expected to be held at the conference room of the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment at a date to be fixed. So some of the business programs that we are hoping that they would be engaged in would be the fundamentals of enterprise, the legal and statutory obligations for registration of businesses, fundamentals in business ethics, record management in business, as well as networking and marketing. To date, it is really admirable that over 400 applicants have registered from the CPEP program, and 50 applicants so far have registered from URP. They have now bought into this vision because they understand the objectives of the initiative, and they have shown their keen interest by the large registration level. Finally, to ensure that the THA receives value for money and the commensurate returns on investment from the training programs, a monitoring and evaluation framework will be developed as an integral part of this project. So this framework will assess the extent to which the program is on track and will help us to initiate corrective measures where necessary. It will also help us to make informed decisions regarding the operations and management of the product. It will ensure the most effective and efficient use of our limited resources, and it would evaluate the extent to which the project is having the desired impact. You know, this whole initiative can be summed up briefly in the words of a popular Chinese proverb which says, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you provide him with an occupation that will feed him for a lifetime. And this program aims to do just that. So at this time, I will now invite the Secretary for the Division of Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries to explain his division's role in the program and to provide detailed information on the dates and venues for the rollout of these programs.
Basically, I would have outlined previously, but I would have just given sketch details. You would have heard from Ms. Jack basic information as it relates to the collaboration between the divisions. Starting from tomorrow, the 5th of April, at Kendall Farm School, we'll be having training in commercial composting. And in some areas I'll give examples, and some areas I will just highlight and move on. composting, even using simple things as the sargassum seaweed that comes to our shore. Tobago has this, if you just call it the early morning walk, where men cut the grass. Simple that grass can be taken and made into compost. So we are going to be doing training in that area to teach how to utilize the simple things around us and benefit from it in the area of agriculture. On the 10th, from the 10th to the 12th of April, at URP Roxborough and Lowisdor Nurseries, we'll be doing training in vegetable seedling nursery management and marketing. All right. April 17th to the 19th, at the Boko Training Facility, we'll be doing fish processing, deboning, and smoking. Smoking of fish, that is. April 25th to the 26th, at Boko Training Facility again, we'll be doing fish processing, deboning, and smoking of fish again. On the 17th to the 19th of April, we'll be at Hope Farm, where we'll be doing rabbit cage and livestock housing design and construction. April 25th to 26th, we are back at Kendall Farm School, where we'll be training in rabbit production and marketing. May 1st to May 3rd, at Kendall Farm School, honey production and processing. May 8th to May 10th, at Kendall Farm School, cassava farine production. May 15th to May 17th, at Lowisdor Nurseries, plant propagation, budding, grafting, and cutting. May 8th to May 10th, at Lescato Community Center, we'll be doing cassava farine production. May 22nd to May 24th, Kendall Farm School and Lowisdor Nurseries will be doing horticulture, ornamental production, and marketing. June 5th to June 7th, at the Kendall Farm School, we'll be doing landscaping and turf development and management. June 12th to June 14th, at both Mason Hall and Lambo multipurpose facilities, will be doing local candy production. June 20th to June 21st, at both Mason Hall and Lambo multipurpose facilities, will be doing corn processing. June 26th to June 28th, at the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, writing business proposals and reports and summaries. July 3rd to the 5th, at the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment, product development, packaging, branding, HACCP, and GAP. July 17th to the 19th, Kendall and Grosborough, protected agriculture, herbs, seasonings, and vegetable production. So basically these are the courses and the dates that will be offered during that period. And I also just want to give a little update. I know the Scarborough market, I would have indicated 3 weeks ago or so I was here about the Scarborough market. We are still, I would have met with both the committee that was set up at the Division of Food Production, Forestry and Fisheries, and the interim committee of the Market Association. We would have met and we would have came to a mutual understanding, a mutual agreement that we are still holding on to the transition date from the 15th through the 17th of April. Providing that all goes well, we are maintaining that those dates will be the dates that we will move from the present market site to the temporary market site located at Orange Hill. There are some minor works to be completed. Electrical infrastructure is 90% complete. That will be completed by the 10th. Plumbing also by the 10th, washrooms, our signage, health and safety, all by the 10th. The tables, we already started installing the tables. This exercise will be completed by the 13th. So we are all set to do that relocation on the dates that are given previously.
I know that you all said that you want to supply the school feeding program with local produce. Are you all looking at, do you all have any targets to a specific percentage of the produce that will be supplied to them locally, and by when you want to hit that target?
This is a work in progress. The school feeding program is contracted out to contractors, and therefore what we have envisaged as part of our agriculture revitalization plan is to have the contractors purchase from our local farmers. However, we would have so far developed a plan. Now is to put that plan into action. So to give you specific at this time, it will not be possible in terms of, well, I could just indicate some of the crops that we actually would have identified at a local base and we could start using immediately. For example, like the cassava, the sweet potatoes, plantains, bananas. These are readily available. Okay? So it's just to implement that aspect of the plan. How do you make the nexus with the contractor and the farmers? How do we do that? Because you must have buy-in from the farmers and the necessary farmers association and contractors. Because this would not be a THA sort of thing. Because after we would have formulated the policy and we move on to the implementation part of it, then it's totally now up to the THA role now is just to monitor and evaluate.
So when you all came up with the idea to supply the local produce, did you all not have a desired target? You want to see 100% of the produce come from Tobago? You want to, at least in 22 years' time, at least 50% of the produce come from Tobago farmers? You all didn't come up with that. You just knew that you wanted to provide.
Okay, well, we did not put it in terms of like percentage. What we'd have put it in terms like a short term, medium term, and a long-term plan. So in other words, the short term will be the things that we can readily treat with. The medium term may simply mean, well, there will be some aspect of processing and so on that can be included in the plan. But as to say percentage, our aim is really to have all our people, not just the children, eat local. Right? So then we are looking at 100%. But like I said, it's a work in progress. All right?
Let me also add that our intention is to get to that place where we encourage participants in the program to produce the crops that we require for the school feeding program. Even the school children within the schools, we are encouraging them as well to produce what we need for the program. In such a way, you can have a cyclic movement of funds, if you want to say that. So the persons who produce will have a ready market. And then from that market, you would have the processors and the contractors, as Mr. Spencer was just explaining, purchase from the producers. So the money keeps in that cycle within the Tobago scenario, because ultimately, and I think we can boldly say within a year, we can now put targets to this, and we can say that within a year, we are hopeful that we can have at least 50% of the products from our local producers used in the school feeding program.
You mentioned the agricultural revitalization team, and I know they would have submitted their recommendations, and an implementation team is supposed to be appointed. Is there any update on when the implementation team would be appointed? Have you all chosen members of the implementation team?
Well, I think if my memory serves me well, that would have been already reported to the media by the Chief Secretary. That wasn't the case when we were at, a note was passed. Okay, so the team will be led by the Honorable Chief Secretary, that implementation team, and I think that information was made public already. But I don't have that information with me here, all right? However, in my discussion with the chief today, we are proposing to have our first meeting next week with the entire implementation team, all right? So you'll be further informed as of our first meeting.
Thank you.
Discussions were held.
Are we, meaning Tobago, anywhere closer in terms of producing, whether that be agricultural product or livestock, on a scale that would be able to supply the Tobago market? And I'm talking about any product here. Are we anywhere closer to making that a reality?
Yes, I will safely say that we are really getting closer, because of when I look at the number of registered farmers that we have that are actually producing, I will say we are getting closer in terms of those that are actually producing now, those that are showing interest in actually getting involved in production, those who are actually now training. Basically, we'll be graduating 53 students next month from the upper program at Kendall Farm School. So immediately we want these students to get actively involved in production. So we are getting there. I can safely say that we are getting there. And plus this training program with the URP and the CPEP to increase the agricultural activities on the island, I will safely say that we are getting there.
And the answer isn't limited to just the THA. I mean, there might be private persons that the Assembly would be aware of. But what products are we referring here to that maybe in the near future be able to supply the Tobago market? What are the products are we talking about here?
We're talking about roots and tubers in terms of like cassava, sweet potatoes, fruits. We have a number of different type of farmers out there that are producing. I'm not talking about THA, I'm talking about farmers. All right? So you have those who are doing vegetables. For example, I had a meeting with 2 young men last week, Friday, and they are in the business of aquaculture, and they are doing well, you know, and they are actually looking now to spread that out throughout Tobago, where you utilize a much smaller space and you can produce much more in a smaller space, right? So this is something that Tobago farmers can look at, because you know in Tobago we don't really have mega farms, right? The average farmer that does livestock may have between 20 to 25 acres, and those that do crops will have between 2 to 5 acres. right? So it's just utilizing the technology now that you can produce more on the limited space that you have. So all this is happening around Tobago.
And anything specific in terms of livestock, whether that be pork production, chicken production, goat?
There's an increase in pork production, there's an increase in chicken production, increase in eggs production. Yes, all that's taking place on the island.
That, I mean, not just increasing, but in terms of selling on the market, available for sale in groceries and supplying to hotels, and you're referring to all of that?
Yes, because at our packing house there's an increase of produce that are coming from the farmers, passing through the packing house to be distributed to the supermarkets and hotels and so on. So we are actually seeing an increase there.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending April 7th, 2018.